Greetings! I'm Anthony F. Elmore, President and Founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association. We at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association practice the Buddhist teachings of the 13th century Japanese sage Nichiren Shonin. It was Nichiren Shonin who teaches that the Lotus Sutra is the highest of the Buddha's Shakyamuni's teachings. It's Nichiren Shonin that teaches us the Lotus Sutra. Now, Nichiren means sun lotus, and Shonin means priest. So we practice the teachings of Nichiren Shonin. The way that we teach and learn Buddhism is through the Gosho. The Gosho are the letters that Nichiren wrote to his disciples to teach them Buddhism. So we study the Gosho, and this is how we learn and teach Buddhism. Now, one of the things you must understand about Buddhism is Buddhism, or actually the Lotus Sutra Nichiren teaches us, is the voice of the Buddha. And when you recite the Lotus Sutra, you are actually reciting the mind of the Buddha, and when you express the mind of the Buddha, you actually tap into the spirit of the Buddha. The way we teach Buddhism is through the voice. If Buddhism is going to get and spread to America, then we must have teachers who can teach Buddhism, and we must have the voice to spread and teach Buddhism. More importantly, in the African American community, we need black Buddhist teachers. We need people who are willing to get out and use their voice to promote the teachings of the Buddha, which is his highest teachings is the Lotus Sutra. So I'd like to welcome everybody to 2016. Please understand that the way we teach Buddhism, and the most important thing that we teach, is that we encourage you to study and to study the Gosho. Now, one of the most important Goshos in my life is one called The True Aspect of All Phenomena. In this Gosho, it reads, quote, "In this letter, I have written my most important teachings. Grasp their meanings firmly and make them a part of your life. Believe in the Gohanzan, the supreme object of devotion, and all of Jambu Diva. Be sure to strengthen your faith and receive the protection of Shakyamuni, many treasures, and the Buddhas of the 10 directions. Exert yourself in the two ways of practice and study. Without practice and study, there can be no Buddhism. You must not only persevere yourself, you must also teach others. Both practice and study arise from faith. Teach others to the best of your ability, even if it is only a single sentence or phrase." We who are with the Proud Black Buddhist Association follow the teachings of Nichiren by teaching others to the best of our ability. Please understand that one of my most important Goshos, I have taken to heart the part where Nichiren admonished us to exert ourselves in practice and study. Nichiren writes that both practice and study arise from faith. The one thing that I, as a proud black Buddhist, stress is that we study the Buddhist teachings very, very hard. In my lectures, we try to make Buddhism so interesting that you are motivated to study. We want you to study the Buddhist practice, and it is very important, ladies and gentlemen, that we have African American Buddhist teachers who can put Buddhism in a cultural framework in a language that we can understand the Buddhist teachings. Now, Please understand that Nichiren teaches us that the Lotus Sutra is the highest of the teachings of Shakyamuni, and we practice only the Lotus Sutra. To us at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association, the Lotus Sutra is everything to us. Now, my lecture today is Buddhism. It's called Buddhism Where Science Meets God. We who are members of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association believe in both God and science. And in the Buddhist teachings is where God and science both meet. Generally speaking, both God and science do not walk the same street. God says, I'm God, and science says, you must prove to me that you exist. Now, in the Buddhist teachings, we learn where a Buddhist teachings where both God and science meet. And this is what we're going to do today. We're going to tell you how both God and science meet. Now, in regards to Buddhist teachings, there is only one teaching that combines the faith in God and the teachings of science. The only perfect teachings in the world where God and science meets is the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra is the teaching where God meets science. Now, the title of the Lotus Sutra, is God. If you understand the title of the Lotus Sutra, you can understand God. Now, the title of the Lotus Sutra is Myoho Renge Kyo. Now, in the Gosho title, the Daimoku of the Lotus Sutra reads, quote, it says, please understand that Daimoku means chanting the words Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Now, in the Gosho, the Daimoku of the Lotus Sutra, it reads, quote, coming now to the character Myo. The Lotus Sutra says, this sutra opens the gate of expedient means and shows the form of true reality. The great teacher Chang'an states, Myo means to reveal the depths of the secret storehouse, unquote. He goes on further. The great teacher Milo says of this, quote, to reveal means to open. Hence, the character Myo means to open. It goes on further. If there is a storehouse full of treasures but no key, then it cannot be opened. And if it cannot be opened, then the treasure inside cannot be seen. The Buddha preached the Flower Garden Sutra, but he did not therein expound the key to open this sutra. Likewise, in the more than 40 years that followed, he preached the Sutra of the Agama, correct and equal and wisdom periods, as well as the Meditation Sutra. But he did not reveal their meaning. The doors remained closed, and therefore no one could understand these sutras, even though people thought they understood, their understanding was in fact distorted. This is what Nichiren teaches. Now, the word Myo we call God. Let's learn more about God or Myo. Further in the Gosho, Nichiren writes about Myo. The single character Myo will be found to contain fully 120 Myo or mystic principles. One fundamental Myo, or mystic principle, underlies every one of the 69,384 characters that make up the Lotus Sutra. Hence, the Lotus Sutra comprise a total of 69,384 mystic principles. Myo in India is rendered as sad, and in China as Myoho. Myo means to be fully endowed, which in turn has the meaning of perfect and full, unquote. Now, he goes on further. Each word and each character of the Lotus Sutra contains within it all the 69,384 characters that compose the sutra. To illustrate, one drop of great ocean contains within it the waters of the various rivers that flow into the ocean in a single wish-granting jewel. Though no bigger than a mustard seed, is capable of showering down the treasures that one could wish for with all the wish-granting jewels. Unquote. Now, Nichiren further says, in the Gosho, it's called the Daimoko of the Lotus Sutra, Nichiren writes, quote, Bodhisattva Nagarjuna in his treatise on the great perfection of wisdom says, quote, the Lotus Sutra is like a great physician who can change poison into medicine. This quotation occurs in a passage in Great Perfection of Wisdom that explains the virtues inherent in the character Myo of the Lotus Sutra. The great teacher Myoho remarks, quote, because it can cure what is thought to be incurable, it is called Myo or wonderful, unquote. He goes on further. In general, there are four kinds of people who have great difficulty in attaining Buddhahood or rebirth in the Pure Land. First are those predestined for the two vehicles. Second are Ichikatakas. Third are those who cling to the doctrine of void. And fourth are those who slander the law. But through the Lotus Sutra, all these people are able to become Buddhas. That is why the Lotus Sutra is called Myo. And we call Myo God. We'll understand as we go further. Now, we are getting closer to explaining how Buddhism is where God and science meet. God is Myo. Let us look further in this Gosho, the Daimoku of the Lotus Sutra. It says, quote, Tentai says, the Ichikatakanas, or persons of incorrigible disbelief, nevertheless have minds. And so it is still possible for them to attain Buddhahood. Now, but persons of the two vehicles have alienated consciousness, therefore cannot arouse the mind that inspires enlightenment. And yet the Lotus Sutra can cure them, which is why it is called Myo or wonderful. Myoho says the reason that the other sutras are called great but not Myo is simply that it is easy to cure those who have a mind, but difficult to cure those who are without a mind, because it, the Lotus Sutra, can cure what is thought to be incurable. It is called Myo or wonderful. Now, he goes on further. These passages refer to the fact that sutras such as the great and vast Buddha flower, Garland Sutra, the Great Collection Sutra, the Great Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, and the Great Nirvana Sutra all have the character great in their titles, but not the character myo or wonderful. This is because they can only cure the living but unable to cure the dead. The Lotus Sutra, however, can cure the dead as well as the living, and therefore it has the character Myo in its title, Myoho Renge Kyo. Now, we are getting deep into the Buddhist teachings. Please understand that only the true Buddhist teachings is the Lotus Sutra. Many people practice Buddhism, but they do not practice the Lotus Sutra. Only the Lotus Sutra is the correct and true Buddhist teachings. Now, in the Go-Sho, the entity of the mystic law, it reads, quote, "The great teacher Na-Yue says, question, what does Myoho Renge Kyo represent? Answer, Myo indicates that all living beings are Myo, or mystic. Ho indicates that all living beings are Ho, or law. Tenta also says the law of all living beings is mystic." Now, it goes on further. Question, if the entity of all living beings is mystic, law in its entirety, then are all the actions and results that are associated with the 9 worlds, from the world of hell up to that of Bodhisattva, in effect entities of the mystic law? And the answer, he says, the mystic principle, that is the essential nature of phenomena, possesses 2 aspects: the defiled aspect and the pure aspect. If the defiled aspect is operative, this is called delusion. If the pure aspect is operative, this is called enlightenment. Enlightenment constitutes the realm of Buddhahood. Delusion constitutes the realm of ordinary mortals. Now, the Go-Sho further states, these 2 aspects, the deluded and the enlightened, are indeed 2 different phenomena, and yet both are the workings of the one principle, that is, the essential nature of phenomena, or the true aspect of reality. Now, he gives this example. It is like a piece of crystal. If the crystal is placed in the sun rays, it will attract them and produce fire. But if it is placed in the moon's rays, it will produce water. The crystal is a single entity, but its effects it produces differ according to the circumstances. The mystic principle of the true aspect of reality is like this. The mystic principle of the true aspect of reality is one, but it encounters evil influences, it will manifest delusion, while if it encounters good influences, it will manifest enlightenment. Enlightenment means enlightenment to the essential nature of phenomena, and delusion is ignorance of it. Unquote. You see, the Lotus Sutra, or Myoho, is God. Now, this same Go-Sho further reads, quote, "The supreme principle, that is, the mystic law, was originally without a name. When the sage was observing the principle and assigning names to all things, he perceived that there is this wonderful single law, Myoho that simultaneously possess both cause and effect. That's called Renge. And he named it Myoho Renge Kyo. The single law that is Myoho Renge Kyo encompasses within it all the phenomena comprising the 10 worlds and the 3,000 realms, and is lacking in none of them. Anyone who practices this law would obtain both the cause and effect of Buddhahood simultaneously. The sage with this law as teacher attained enlightenment, and therefore he simultaneously obtained both the mystic cause and the mystic effect of Buddhahood, becoming the thus come one of perfect enlightenment and fully realized virtues. That is how the Buddha come about. The Go-Sho on 18 Perfections read, quote, "The overall theory of the 5 major principles means the 5 major principles represented by the 5 characters Myoho Renge Kyo. Thus, Myo is the name, Ho is the entity or essence, Ren the quality, Ge the function, and Kyo the teaching. Also, there are 2 types of general theory regarding the 5 major principles. The first of the 5 major principles as they pertain to the Buddha's intention. The second is the 5 major principles as they pertain to the capacity and feelings of the individual believer. Goes on further. The 5 major principles of the Buddha's intentions are endowed with the 5 types of vision that characterize the enlightenment of the Buddhas, and which are represented by the 5 characters of Myoho Renge Kyo. Now, this Go-Sho further reads, and it's the Go-Sho on 18 Perfections. It further reads, these 5 types of visions are the Buddha eye, which is Myo, the Dharma eye, which is Ho, the wisdom eye, which is Ren, the heavenly eye, which is Ge, and the eye of ordinary mortals, which is Kyo. Myo means inconceivable, and therefore it corresponds to true non-substantiality and tranquility, which is the Buddha eye. Ho is designated discrimination, and therefore it corresponds to the Dharma eye, which is temporary in nature and embodies discrimination. The wisdom eye corresponds to non-substantiality, being the embodiment of effects, and it is represented by Ren. Ge represents function, and therefore is designated the heavenly eye, which is the function of conversion exercised by transcendental powers. Now, Kyo means to smash delusion, and because it deals with delusion, it is designated the eye of ordinary mortals. In the Go-Sho, it's called Letter to Ji-Jobu. It reads, quote, the great teacher of Mount Ha, Dingyo, journeyed to China and received instruction on the point of this passage. Single-mindedly means the one pure way, and mind means all phenomena. That is why the great teacher Tentai, explaining the Chinese character for mind, said that its 4 brushstrokes represent the moon and 3 stars, and that this implies that the mind of the effect of Buddhahood is pure and clean. I, Nichiren, say that single stands for Myo, or mystic, mind for Ho, or law, desiring for Ren, or lotus, Si for gay, or flower, and Buddha for Kyo, or sutra. In propagating these 5 characters, practitioners should not hesitate even if it costs them their lives, unquote. He says further, single-mindedly desiring to see the Buddha may be read as follows. Single-mindedly observing the Buddha, concentrating one's mind on seeing the Buddha, and when looking at one's own mind, perceiving that it is the Buddha. He goes on further, or rather, God is mystic and God is law. Now, the great scientist Albert Einstein wrote, quote, "Science without religion is lame, and religion without science is blind. The Buddhist religion is where God and science meet. The question, where does science and God meet? Buddhism teaches us that God and science meet only through faith. The Gosho, the real aspect of the Gohonzon, reads, quote, thus the 4th volume of the Great Concentration and Insight states, quote, Buddhism is like an ocean that one can only enter with faith. The 4th volume of the Annotations on the Great Concentration and Insight explains this, quote, with regards to the phrase, Buddhism is like an ocean that one can only enter with faith. Even Confucius taught that faith is first and foremost. How much more so is this true of the profound doctrines of Buddhism? Without faith, how could one possibly enter? That is why the Flower Garden Sutra defines faith as the basis of the way and the mother of blessings. The 1st volume of the Concentration and Insight says, quote, how does one hear, believe in, and practice the perfect teachings to attain perfect enlightenment? The 1st volume on the Great Concentration and Insight says, quote, to believe in the perfect teachings means to awaken faith through doctrine and make faith the basis of practice. Now, how do you come to understand and gain faith in Buddhism? We awaken faith through doctrine. Now, God is Myoho, and we use science to understand Myoho. When you go and understand particle physics and all of the sciences, we have to study to get an understanding of the sciences or how this universe works. We can go into particle physics and quantum physics and understand archaeology, anthropology, science. That is the teachings of Buddhism. That is the teachings of the Lotus Sutra, because the Lotus Sutra teaches us that all secular matters, or the writings which are non-Buddhist teachings are in fact Buddhist teachings. Now, when we begin to study the mystic law of cause and effect teachings, we come to understand Buddhism and exactly where God and science meet. Now, in the Gosho teachings, it's called Practice, Teachings, Practice, and Proof. It reads, quote, ordinary people like ourselves at the stage of hearing the name and words of the truth can expect to attain Buddhahood by relying on the teachings of the Buddha. The words of various teachers are in themselves of no use at all. The Buddha gave strict counsel against following them with his statement in the Nirvana Sutra. And it says, quote, rely on the law and not on persons. So somebody could come to you and tell you that they got the world and they understand this Buddhism. Nichiren tells us that if a person doesn't have sutra in hand, you should not heed to them. You should rely on the teachings of the Buddha. And if you really want to understand the Lotus Sutra, then you must study, and not just study Buddhism, but you must study science and history and culture, because all of this, it is included in the teachings of the Lotus Sutra. Now, in the Gosho, hell is the land of tranquil light. It reads, quote, the true aspect and verily manifest in all phenomena, and all phenomena and verily manifest in the 10 factors, the 10 factors and verily manifest in the 10 worlds, and the 10 worlds and verily manifest in the life in its environment. Let's bring this lecture to a conclusion. Now, the 10 aspects are all phenomena manifest the 10 aspects. That is, it has a form or an appearance. There's an appearance, a nature, and an entity. An entity gives rise to power. A power gives rise to an influence. And an influence happens because of inherent cause. Inherent cause happens because of a relationship. And a relationship happens because of a latent effect. And a latent effect happens because of a manifest effect. And a manifest effect happens because all of these 10 aspects operate from the realm of consistency from the beginning to the end. So we have 10 aspects. And within the 10 aspects, there are 10 worlds, which are hell, hunger, animality, anger, humanity, heaven. Then you go to learning, self-realization, bodhisattva, and Buddhahood. Within the 10 worlds, there are 10 worlds, which is 100 worlds, times 10 aspects, which gives you 1,000 worlds times the 3 realms. Now, the 3 realms are, number 1, the realm of the 5 components, which is appearance. Then you got a perception, which you perceive, perception, conception, volition, and consciousness. Now, when you go there, there's the realm of the living beings, which is a realm. And then we have the realm of the environment. That's 3,000 worlds in a momentary state of existence. This theory is the Buddhist theory called Ichiren Sanzen, where a single moment of life or an entity exists in a single moment. Now, our universe is non-substantial in that the universe is like the stars and the moon, and everything is moving. Everything, as you're going through birth, you're on the way to death, because life is cyclic and everything goes through birth, growth, maturity, and death. We call this function Myoho, because nothing is static. Who you are today, you're not going to be tomorrow. The calls that you make it determines what you're going to be tomorrow. And the cause of the expect that you feel in today is determined by something you did yesterday. So we are all moving and coming, trying to find a place in the world. And if you're trying to find a place in this God, and you're trying to meet this God, then this God exists in the mystic law of Myoho. And the way to get an understanding of the God is through Kyo, or the teachings. Once you get to understand the teachings, then you can begin to understand Myoho, or understand God, because God in Buddha exists within your own life. I think I've said enough. I am Anthony Elmore, President and Founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association. Thank you very much.
Since I've joined NSA, I have changed my views of society, and I have rekindled my desire to attain the American dream.
Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way. I found myself a brand new mission to help others make a big decision. Bring to you as no religion. It's not the religion that you expect. It's all about the laws of cause and effect. Devotion to the middle of the call of teaching. We do a lot of wisdom preaching. No more life with any drama. We change the words and change our karma. We bring to you the new Buddha way. We bring to you the new way to pray. After long prayers, a lot of meditation, I bring to you the Buddhist conversation. We can change our human relations. We bring to you the culture integration. It's about peace and love and changing situation. This channel in Buddhism makes a lot of sense. It's about self-development and enlightenment. I made the decision to join the Buddha way. I joined the Buddhist center called NSA. Buddhism is new to America and like a tree. What does the words of the Chinese mean? Function to the middle of the call of the teaching. Different learning from the Christian preaching. Buddhism makes a lot of sense. Self-development with enlightenment. Becoming a Buddhist is a good decision. Look at yourself and find the wisdom. The fortune to the middle of the call of the teaching. While we only have Japanese preaching, the Buddhist religion is the way to go. I will find our leader in Tokyo. I wanted to Buddha way. I should follow sensei. I no longer do it his way. Went to a temple called Taiseki. The courage of the temple don't relate to me. In 2014 I left the Buddhist temple. I have to teach Buddhism, that's more simple. Nichiren Shonin said you don't have the knowledge. I want you to check my logic. The old way I teach Buddhism, I give the people a good rhythm. I'm not like a priest at their temple. I teach Buddhism and make it simple. You don't need a college to explain it. Singing and dancing is the of the language. Function to the middle of the call of the teaching. We teach it with the wisdom preaching. We can teach the wisdom all of it on it. We follow the religion that Shonin. Teach what it is and don't need a mouth. We know how to sing and rap. Let me bring some good news to ya. We practice the Lotus Sutra. You don't have to practice here and after. Just do the 2nd and 16th chapter. Come have a person be in Maria. Learn that Lotus Sutra title. Myoho Renge Kyo. That's the way that your karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo. That's the way that your karma go. I don't care how the Japanese do it. I'm gonna put a little soul to it. I don't give a damn, don't agree. I practice the way that's really me. I respect and love ya. I'm gonna practice a Buddhism with my own culture. I know you hate my dance and all the jerking. You're really gonna be upset when I start my twerking. We don't follow the rules and we do no rehearsing. The Buddhists have followed the law and no persons. I don't care what Buddhist practice don't suit you. We follow the law and the Lotus Sutra. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo is the way in which the karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo it's the way in which karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo, it's the way in which karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo, Myoho Renge Kyo, it's the way in which karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo, it's the way in which karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo, it's the way in which karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo, it's the way in which karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo, it's the way in which karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo, it's the way in which karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo, it's the way in which karma go. Myoho Renge Kyo.